Happy Wednesday to all of you in central Indiana. Clouds right now are moving in and we are looking at a stormy evening ahead. We're giving you a live look now over downtown Indianapolis. So we are talking strong winds and severe storms. We'll want to welcome you all to 13 News at Noon. I'm Karen Campbell, of course, starting in the Weather Center with meteorologist Rob Ellis. So, Rob, we talk about these severe storms, and it is a weather impact day. What are we looking at time-wise?
I think it's going to be later in the evening for sure, at least for Indy, probably after the evening commute. But let me get you right to the timing and also the areas that we're most concerned about, because the strongest signal is actually going to be just to our west into Illinois. This is going to be another one of those scenarios where the storms may form farther to the west and we watch them roll in. There's also going to be a significant chance that we could see some strong winds as well as the possibility of tornadoes. Here's where things stand right now. Again, things haven't quite developed. It's exactly what we expected as far as timing. We do have what we call the warm sector firmly in place. Look at the warmer air. Temperatures into the 60s, approaching 70 for St. Louis. The colder air on the backside of this, which, by the way, may lead to blizzard warnings to the west there. Meanwhile, we're dealing with the more spring side of the system, and that means the possibility of storms. So winds even ahead of this are already going to be pretty gusty. 30 to maybe 40 mile per hour winds. We do have a wind advisory that's in place through 8 p.m. tonight. But once those storms roll in sometime later this evening, I think we will have the possibility of some stronger winds within those storms, and likely going to see a couple of tornado warnings to our west. Will that hold together here? Here's your timeline right here. This is going to be around 7 p.m. for the metro, continuing I think through about 9 p.m. for the metro, probably going to take it through about 11 p.m. before we see that line exit. That's the timeline. I'm going to come back in a bit with exactly what you can expect as far as what is our biggest concern. I'll have that for you coming up in just a few minutes.
All right. Thanks, Rob.
Yeah.
Well, this afternoon, we are hearing from IU's new men's head basketball coach. His name is Darian DeVries, and he comes to Bloomington from the University of West Virginia. Now, he has also coached at Drake University. According to IU, the 49-year-old has 24 years of Division I experience. IU leaders say DeVries has a plan for building a championship culture that can compete at the highest level. And in the last 15 minutes, he addressed the media. Take a listen.
The opportunity came along to be possibly be the head coach at Indiana. A dream job for anyone, but especially for someone that grew up in the Midwest watching the old Big 8 and Big 10 basketball. The chance to lead one of the biggest brands in college basketball was something I could not pass up. This place has many of those same qualities that my family and I look for and want to be around. And I have always looked for that fit for myself, for my family, and making sure it all aligned.
We are working to learn the details of his contract. He replaces Mike Woodson, who ended his run at IU after 4 years. Now, that press conference is still streaming. You can watch it on WTHR Plus right now. Our Samantha Johnson is in Bloomington at this news conference, and we'll share more of what Coach DeVries had to say starting on 13 News at 4 o'clock. Well, this afternoon, we know that a motorcyclist was killed in a crash with a UPS truck. Metro Police say 53-year-old Ronald Courts II was killed. This happened around 5:15 last night near 32nd and Keystone. Officers are investigating how that crash happened. Police say the UPS driver, he did stay on the scene and is cooperating with investigators. They do not suspect that driver was impaired. And a couple charged in a deadly crash nearly a year and a half ago are pleading not guilty. So we had our camera in the courtroom as Bradley and Paige Woods made their first appearance before a Marion County judge. The prosecution asked for Bradley to be on alcohol monitoring while he's out on bond. He's accused of causing a deadly crash while intoxicated and then leaving the scene back in December of 2023. Paige is charged with obstruction of justice. 20-year-old Avery May died in that crash on the southeast side of Indianapolis. May's girlfriend, Riley White, suffered serious injuries. The judge ordered Woods not to have any contact with White. And now at the State House, there is an ongoing debate over immigration enforcement. Senators heard testimony and made changes to a bill that House lawmakers already passed. 13 News reporter Emily Longnecker tells us the question at the heart of that debate.
The bill is House Bill 1393. Here's where it stands with the changes. There are two scenarios. A police officer arrests someone on a misdemeanor or felony and takes them to jail, or a police officer gives someone a summons to appear in court. In both cases, the jail staff and sheriff, if they had probable cause to believe that that person was here illegally, would be required to contact ICE. ICE would take it from there. The debate today, how is probable cause determined? The bill's author, Republican State Representative Garrett Boscom, characterizes the bill as standardizing a process one county sheriffs have testified they're already doing. Boscom agrees.
In many communities, this is already happening. Once we notify ICE, then it's on ICE to make whatever determination that they make.
But what about before that? What goes into a sheriff or jail staff determining probable cause that someone could be undocumented after they've been arrested or charged? Boscom says that comes from questioning during the intake process. Many who testified said they believed the bill would lead to racial profiling. That assertion led to its own debate.
I do not want to be profiled. Neither does my mother. Neither does my sister, teachers, and everybody else. It does increase it. Unfortunately, we live in a red state where there are officers, and unfortunately, they are going to race. And I'm sorry, but if it happens, I mean, I hope you feel okay with that.
It is illegal. And it cannot happen, should never happen, and if it does happen, the officer will not be an officer very long.
Some said it's not if it will happen, but when.
This bill will undoubtedly foster racial profiling. The standard of probable cause is most troublesome and inherently subjective and will lead to judgments based on appearance, language, proficiency, or accent.
What do you want the standard to be? You don't like probable cause, so what should it be?
Senator, I would leave that up to you and the members of the committee.
Only two groups testified they were neutral on the bill, the Indiana Public Defenders Council and the Indiana Sheriff's Association.
We're going to remain neutral on this and open to conversations about this process and what it looks like, because as we all know, this continues to change.
And those changes could come when the bill gets before the full Senate. The bill passed out of committee today by a vote of 5-3. Two Democrats voted against it, along with a Republican state senator, Sue Glick, who said that she thought that this was already happening in jails, contacting of ICE. She said the bill was well-intentioned, but she called it unnecessary. At the Indiana State House, Emily Longnecker, 13 News.
Black faith leaders are calling for change at the State House when it comes to federal funding in the Hoosier State. Leaders with the Black Church Coalition, they rallied at the State House yesterday. They are urging the General Assembly to address federal and state funding cuts. They say these cuts are hurting Hoosiers. Leaders are also concerned about a lack of federal funding and the impact on mental health.
History will be remembered by what we do today. You have the power to ensure Indiana just doesn't put a Band-Aid on mental health, but truly builds a system that prevents tragedy and supports family before it's too late.
Advocates say they will continue to push for equity for all Hoosiers. And Indianapolis public school teachers are pushing back against charter schools in our state. At a meeting tomorrow, those teachers plan to call on the school board to halt the expansion of charter schools across the city. Logan Gay explains what's at stake.
Third grade teacher Monica Shellhammer already has a lot on her plate, making sure her third grade students get the best education possible. Now she and 600 educators with the Indianapolis Education Association are spending their spare time fighting to keep those same educational opportunities with a petition to the IPS board about Senate Bill 518.
If it goes through, that would divide the property taxes with all of the charters, whether they are in our district or not.
Something she says could have a devastating impact on students and their families.
So things like transportation, IPS has already said that bus routes would potentially get cut. Buildings are going to potentially have to be closed. So we're really dividing up a community.
A community, IEA says, that's already being eaten up bit by bit.
We're all trying to do the best for our students. And that's something that we want to make sure we are able to secure with that funding and making sure that we can do best for the students who walk in our doors every day.
The topic of charter school funding was also a big topic of discussion at a community meeting Tuesday at Broadway United Methodist Church. Dini Abdullah's kids attend charter schools. She says she supports IPS and believes the current system pits the two institutions against each other.
If we were actually funding IPS schools the way that we should be funding them, we wouldn't need a charter school, right? There isn't actually a need for a charter school. You're just taking the resources and putting them somewhere else.
This is why Shellhammer says it's all about putting the kids first.
We want to make sure that they have that foundation so they can go and pursue whatever it is they desire, just like we were able to when we were going through school.